So, I just want to welcome everybody to today's webinar. I'm your host, Sarita Sashington, and Be Strong Families is so excited today to be able to share this with you all. I'm your host, and I'm today's moderator for Building a Parent Nation. Today's presentation and conversation will introduce you guys to a bold and audacious vision that could very well make possible what so many of us have worked so hard to ensure that all parents succeed in their most important job as first a teacher, a brain builder, advocate, and a coach. As an organization of and for parents, nothing could be more important. With Be Strong, we are totally about a parent voice. And we know that children succeed only when we, the parents, succeed. We understand the science of early brain development, early literacy, and how we have to have the knowledge and tools to be our children's brain architects. We're shaping and molding these wonderful brains so that our children have the best start in life and are on the road to good health and early school success. In this work, we've also experienced that many of us at every turn, when we as parents are trying so hard to do right by our kids, we encounter roadblock after roadblock, and it can be a little frustrating. Whether it's issues of poverty or lack of supports that are so essential for us to have in order to prepare the next generation, what is clear is that we live in a society that makes it almost impossible for us to give our children what they need to thrive, to be healthy, and to succeed in life. As we've been working upstream to push for changes in our communities and across the nations, a very special colleague has been developing a plan to help change that reality. This is why we're so excited about today's webinar. Today, we're going to have the opportunity to hear from this colleague, Dr. Dana Suskind, whom I'll introduce in just a moment. Dana, as she prefers to be called, I called her doctor when she told me she'd have to operate on me. So let's just stay with Dana. She's going to share her journey as a surgeon, her powerful experiences with her patients, which led her to write her new book, Parent Nation, Unlocking Every Child's Potential, Fulfilling Society's Promise. This book is going to urge us to fight for a society that better supports parents. Dana and her national campaign director, Yolie Flores, who is also with us today, will share their vision and the launch of the Building a Parent Nation campaign, which is going to invite us all to join and lock arms to push for a society that is aligned to the neuroscience and that will put children and families at the center. After Dana's presentation, we have a couple of parents from Be Strong Families National Parent Café leadership team who are going to join the discussion and share their reflections. They participated in the Parent Village Nation curriculum, Parent Village curriculum that's based on the Parent Nation book. So they're going to have an opportunity to share some of their reflections. And then our colleague Yolie, um, and then I'm sorry, we're going to have Dana, and then we're going to have Yolie, and then we're going to have a panel discussion with the parents from the national team who have been working with BSF to do a beta test for the Parent Nation materials. And then we'll hear some details about the campaign. We're going to have a few minutes for Q&A at the end, so I encourage you to get ready to, warm your fingers up so you can get ready to drop your questions in the chat as you listen to the conversation or to the discussion, and then we'll follow up and have Q&A time. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce all of our speakers, and then we'll invite Dana to kick it off with her presentation. Okay, so Dr. Dana Suskind is co-director of the TMW Center for Early Learning and Public Health at the University of Chicago. She's a professor of surgery and pediatrics and director of the pediatric, cochlear implant program. Her clinical work focuses on pediatric cochlear implantation, and her research is focused on optimizing children's foundational brain development and preventing early cognitive disparities and their lifelong impact. She is the author of the book, 30 Million Words, Building a Child's Brain, and of a forthcoming book, Parent Nation, which empowers parents to use developmental neuroscience to build a society that works for families, not against them. Yolie Flores. is a national campaign director for Parent Nation, where she is developing and leading strategic efforts to activate parents and allies in building a parent nation. More recently, she was chief learning officer at the Campaign for Grade Level Reading, where she led efforts to support over 300 campaign communities to ensure early school success for more children by supporting parent success. Previously, she was CEO of the Los Angeles County Children's Planning Council, the nation's largest children's collaborative focused on improving outcomes for children. Yolie's 30-year career advancing the well-being of children and families earned her the distinction of twice being named Social Worker of the Year in her region. Joining us for the panel will be Takoria Jones. Takoria is a mediator, circle keeper, consultant, and trainer in adverse childhood experiences and the Strengthening Families Protective Factor Framework. She is a mother of four. She's a parent advocate in multiple family serving systems for the past 15 years. Takoria has served on the Children's Trust Alliance National Birth Parent National Network and Birth and Foster Parent Partnership. Locally, she is a chair of Prisma Children's Hospital Family Advisory Council, as well as her local elementary school improvement council, and is also a cohort member of the Family Voices Parent Council, working with South Carolina Department of Social Services work groups. She is also a member of the National Parent Café leadership team of Be Strong Families. Her lived experiences includes time in foster, kinship, and congregate care as a child, and also receiving what she says were life-saving / life-changing child welfare services as a parent. And last but not least, Tammy Cassingay. Tammy is a mother and grandmother born and raised in Rhode Island, but now living and working in Pennsylvania. Tammy earned her BA from Providence College. She has been enjoying her work with children and families for several years. She loves cafes and serves as an active member of the Be Strong Families National Parent Cafe leadership team. I am super excited to share this group of fantastic women with you today. So, Dana, welcome. We're delighted to have you and are eager to have you share with our colleagues about your new book, Parent Nation, and the movement you hope it will inspire. I am turning it over to you.
Thank you so much. Sarita, if we could just clone you and your energy, seriously, you could energize this whole country and world. So thank you so much. I do want to make clear that this, as you say, wait 1 second. This bold, audacious vision, as you call it, this is your vision. I've just put it together in a book, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story, but I really want to emphasize that this is not mine, this is all of ours, and we're just trying to lift it up so that the country beyond our own confines gets it and joins us. So thank you so much. I'm especially thankful for amazing partners at Be Strong Family, for Kathy Wolf, President and CEO. Thank you for your support. Sarita, thank you. Tammy, everyone who was part of and Takoria, thank you so much. I'm especially excited about this meeting because just a month ago, you all were coming together around the beta testing of the parent villages, and I was just incredibly inspired. So thank you. First, I really want to make clear, that like you all, Zoom is not my natural habitat. As Sarita mentioned, I'm actually most comfortable in the operating room or in the clinic room with patients. My day job is as a pediatric physician and cochlear implant surgeon. But as I told Sarita yesterday, please call me Dana, no Dr. Dana, unless you want any medical advice, which is free. But I want to share a little bit about my story and why I wrote this book, and importantly, why I believe that we together can help push forward the change that is so needed in this country, where every child is supported, where every parent is supported. This is what you all have been fighting for, and I think the time has come. So let me just tell you a little bit before we really dive into the exciting part of the village and the partnership and the incredible work that Yolie is pushing forward. So a little bit about myself. I'm an ENT and cochlear implant surgeon. And why did I become this? Because my fascination for the brain. People often think that hearing is all about the ears, but of course it's about the brain. And this became very clear early in my practice when I started, providing cochlear implants for children born deaf and seeing these huge differences in outcomes in my patients. It turned out that the ability to hear didn't always unlock children's full capacity to learn and thrive. It was a really painful difference to observe, and trying to figure out what I could do so that all my patients could reach their potentials and what I could do to best help support patients, I began a journey far outside the operating room, into the world of social sciences, into the world of community. That's why I'm here. Most of my surgeon colleagues wouldn't even know how to talk outside the operating room. I shouldn't say that, but it's been an incredible journey. And what did I learn? I learned in my trying to figure out how to give all my patients a chance to thrive. I learned about this rich body of literature that shows us the importance of the early language environment. As Sarita mentioned, the science that shows that language input, particularly that nurturing back and forth conversation with a parent or caregiver, really stimulates every part of an infant's brain and shapes their lifelong capacity for learning. It is an evolutionary gift, a really short period of time, a short window where we can either set up a child for success in life by nurturing their foundational brain development or not. And that fundamental idea is what guides most of my work. So in 2010, I launched what was called the 30 Million Words Initiative, and now it's called the TMW Center for Early Learning in Public Health. At that time, as it is now, my primary goal was to help ensure the healthy development of all children and give every child the ability to reach his or her potential. Brain science always pointed the way. Everything we designed and did was based on the fact that nurturing talk and interaction between caregiver and infant laid the foundation for brain development. It was and always has been about the power of parents, the power of adult nurturing interaction. So, what did we do? We developed evidence-based programs and strategies to help parents see the impact of their talk and interaction with their babies and young children. And the theme of, for those of you all who don't know, the theme of TMW and the center that I run was that to tune in, talk more, take turns, or what we call the 3 T's. Those 3 T's were the basis of how to build a child's brain. The idea was a straightforward approach to a very complex problem, and it was intuitively appealing and a great success. Everybody wanted to learn the 3 T's, and I think many of them thought that this would be a silver bullet. All we needed to do was talk and interact with our kids and teach parents how to do it. But of course, we know that there are no silver bullets. I was and still am very proud to share the 3 T's with many families through the TMW Center program and through my first book, 30 Million Words, Building a Child's Brain. It is at the heart of what we're talking about. And look, we did many rigorous studies of our programs. We found that indeed the strategies worked and the science that supported them was solid and is solid. The programs we promote can and often do improve the lives of children. But as our research programs took us in to more and more families' homes and into their lives, I realized just how much was being asked of parents. And I know you know this all too well. So much was on their shoulders. I was getting to know families up close and over time. And look, they embraced the 3 T's with gusto. They wanted what every parent wants, to help their children get off to the first and best possible start. The problem was that the 3 T's only took parents so far. As Sarita said, real life would intrude again and again and again. Well, I met many, many families. There were people like Randy who loved the fact that talking about his love of baseball could help his son learn math, but had to work 2 to 3 jobs and most days had less than 30 minutes with his kids. There was Sabrina, who gave up a well-paying job to care for her husband when he got sick, and whose family ended up spending 2 years in a homeless shelter where she raised her 2 young children, one still a baby, in a stressful and chaotic environment. There was Michael and Kiana, whose life was upended when he was arrested for a crime he didn't commit and sat in jail for 5 years awaiting trial that quickly exonerated him. These families helped me to recognize the enormous hurdles in front of mothers and fathers in our country. I realized with both sadness and resolve that our programs, as powerful as they are, can share with parents the knowledge and powerful skills they need to build their children's brains. But our programs do not substantially change the day-to-day lives of parents who participate. The larger reality of family circumstances, their work constraints, economic stressors, bad luck, or injustices they are subject to, all matter as much, if not more, than those 3 T's for building a healthy brain. They either allow for brain building power of parent talk and interaction to occur, or they stifle it like a weed choking off the growth of a garden. And for me, fighting to make sure all of my patients and families that I work with had an equal chance, this was important and powerful realization. But what was really interesting is, as I reflected on what I was seeing, I began to look beyond my patients and the predominantly low-income families who were partnering in the TMW Center programs to the entirety of the tens of millions of parents in the United States who have children. And I saw, regardless of income level, that so many parents are being sidelined to some degree by our country's unfamily-friendly policies. Let's face it, COVID has shined a light on it. And it's not to minimize the Herculean struggles of families who are born into poverty, or to suggest that more affluent families face equivalent challenges. There is no equivalency. But nonetheless, it remains true that American society has abdicated its role and responsibility to all families. The reality, of course, became painfully apparent as COVID-19 left families reeling. Many parents lost their jobs, and even those among who didn't, the millions, mostly mothers, ended up quitting or cutting back on work hours. Doing it was unsustainable. But months of trying resulted in a high level of emotional distress for parents and their children. And we're just seeing the impacts on the early brain development of children born in the pandemic, and I'm concerned. I mean, after all, we are like at the bare minimum, we don't even have paid parental and family leave. We are the only ones of 38 OECD developed countries that don't mandate it. We're fighting about whether or not we want 4 weeks. Seriously? We spend less on early childhood care and education, which results in this fragmented system that we call childcare. So many of us live in childcare deserts, and in many states, childcare for infants costs more than college. And yet a great majority of parents have to or want to work. Given all of this, and I don't need to tell you this data, but it's been proven in scientific studies, it's not surprising that in the US differs from other countries on another important measure, parental happiness. This is what you're looking at is a figure comparing parental happiness in our country compared to other countries between parents and non-parents. In our country, to put it simply, parents are the least happy. And why? Because they don't have supports. So as I reflected on all of this, and I began to write a new book, which I promise you is my last book, I knew that the world didn't need another how-to book for parents. You can go on the internet and there are 20 million books on how to be, the best parent you can be, though my publisher would have loved it. Instead, I thought, you know what? Maybe a book that shows how the brain science can inform a society, that shows us how a society can work for parents, not against them. that could help shift the narrative and the burdens that so many parents carry. And I named this book Parent Nation. Why? Because I want the focus to be on those who deserve and require support parents. I can't wait for you to read it. And thanks to a generous gift from Hearing First and an educational endeavor of an Obercarter Foundation, everybody here is eligible to get a free book when it comes out next year. And I cannot wait for you all to read it and get everybody else to read it and get everybody else to get on this wagon for changing this country. And I do want to mention that even though I called it Parent, you all know that I don't just mean biologic parents. I mean aunts and uncles, grandparents, anyone who loves a child, early child care provider. We need to be a parent nation because we need to start valuing those who nurture the next generation. And as I spoke to dozens of parents from all walks of life, I was struck time and time again by how much they have in common. Parents who on the surface looked like they had nothing in common shared the same deep desires and the same fears and concerns. Ultimately, they just wanted to allow their children and all children to have a fair start. There are so many ways to parent a child. And this book and our work is not about only parenting in one way. This is about supporting parents in the nurturing talk and interaction in the ways that they want, in protection from toxic stress. We know this to be true, but there is an alarming disconnect between what we know that children's brains need and what we do as a society to meet those needs, or more accurately, to allow parents to meet those needs. Because we know at the very moment when parents and children could use the most help, and when that help would have the biggest influence, society does nothing, or worse, it makes it harder. They leave it to parents to figure it out on their own. And you could say, well, how did we end up this way? And I hate to compare. We don't compare children, but when you look around the world, we are so far behind in supporting families, like it's doing people a favor, whereas other countries have realized, you know what, we are building the next generation. How did we end up in this place? Look, the explanation is complex, but one consistent theme runs throughout the choices we've made as a society. This mythic idea of American individualism, this idea that Americans have to be tough and independent prevails, and it perpetuates this going it alone is a virtuous ideal. The result is to convince us, parents, that we should be able to shoulder the enormous responsibility of early child care and development on our own without support. The idea that having a child is like having a puppy, it's something we want to do, rather than seeing it as building the next generation. The bottom line is that we have no expectations that society should play a role in helping us to optimize healthy brain development. It's, in fact, seen as a weakness to expect support in parenting our children. So we suffer alone, but we suffer collectively as well. When the ultimate intellectual development of a child is hampered, we all lose. We need to raise our expectations in what we demand of society. So where do we go from here? And I want to say over and over again, this is what you all do day in and day out. We just need to get it outside of our echo chamber. I believe that neuroscience gives us a roadmap. Just as it tells us what to prioritize individually as parents, it can show us where to go societally as well. It lays out the coordinates that lead us to the healthy development for all children. Neuroscience tells us that we need to begin when learning begins, not on the first day of school, but the first day of life. It tells us that children's earliest and most impactful brain architects are their parents and caregivers. And it tells us that environment matters. Stable, calm environment that fosters socio-emotional skills, executive function skills, whereas disruptive environments impede their development. In short, developing children need time, enrichment, and protection. And guess what? Parents need and deserve exactly the same thing. Just as children need time with responsive caregivers, parents need time that allows them to be that responsive caregiver. They need parental leave and sick leave. They need predictable work hours and a living wage. Children need enrichment in form of nurturing talk and interaction. Parents need these same things. Just as children need protection from toxic stress that can impede their healthy development, parents need protection from the social forces that impede them to the ability to parent optimally. If neuroscience is our roadmap, it is parents who do the steering. Parents are the captains of their family ships, manning the helm, and every captain needs a crew to help ensure a safe voyage. A parent's crew absolutely must include, this is not just about policies, employers, healthcare providers, schools, communities, and policymakers. Because if the consequences of our broken system are shared collectively, guess what? The solution should be too. Well, all of this is in my book, and I can't wait for you all to read it. We can't assume that too many people will read it, although we've got to spread the word. And that's why, honestly, we're launching this coordinated campaign that we want to partner with you. This is not ours, this is everyone's, to help spread these ideas far and wide, to help bring them to life. Because what I found with my first book is you can write a book and people do with it what they want, but we know what we want to come out of this. We want a different country and a different nation. And, I am so thankful and proud to be partnering with you all and to partner with the incredible Parent Nation team. And I have to tell you, while I may be the doctor, Yolie is not just a campaign director, she is an inspiration and is going to share more about this campaign. This is not any one person, this is all of us. And we are, I won't go into, because I feel like I've been talking too long. I've been giving you that 30 million words. I don't want to waste any more time, but if, everybody always wanted with the first book, tell us about the 3 T's so we can build our children's brains, which I believe in. I'm not making fun of it. Tune in, talk more, take turns. But guess what? The next change is about the 3 F's. We need to foster community. We need to forge collective identity. And guess what? We need to fight for change because we can't wait. We are at a crossroads. I'm getting older. And you know what? I want your children and our grandchildren and our grandchildren's children to have a better world. And at this point, I really want to turn it over to my amazing partner, Yolie Flores. But thank you all so much. My only wish was that we were in person so that we could feed off the energy of each other. But thank you so much. And I'm here for any medical advice as well. Thank you again.
Thank you, Dana. And Yolie, please share with us about the campaign, both the air game and the ground game, what we can all do to fight together for a parent nation. Looking forward to hearing from you.
Thank you. Thank you. Also adding my thanks to Dana's for bringing us together, for engaging your network, and for really beginning this partnership that builds on everything that Be Strong Families is and has been doing for a long, long time. So we're just so privileged to be here and to share with you. And like you said earlier, to lock arms together, to elevate this vision, to build this parent nation together. So what I want to do in the very short time that I have is just walk you through what the campaign looks like and ways in which we are going to be spreading the word and engaging many of you, and more importantly, activating parents on the ground. So I'll do a quick walkthrough, and then I know we want to get into a panel discussion. So building off of the closing that Dana just gave, our focus in terms of our strategies in the campaign is to achieve these 3 F's that are on your screen: to foster community, to forge collective identity, and to fight for change. And we really worked very hard since last year, trying to develop the tools, the strategies that would get us to these 3 ambitious goals and desired outcomes. So I'm going to walk you through, if we go into the next slide, what the campaign looks like. So, obviously, you now know about the book. We're excited that you all will get the book for free and will get to your location by the time we begin the publicity. The book is out on April 26th of this year. And then what you'll see is a lot of book publicity. We're working with this amazing social impact firm called Matter Unlimited. that will be working with the publisher and developing lots of ways to create a campaign around the book. That's number 2. That's the digital impact effort. So it's a public media campaign. You'll be seeing us on social media and hopefully on airwaves and in newspapers through op-eds. We're really going to be pushing the message out in April once we launch. And so we can't wait for you to hear about it and be part of it and help us amplify the message as it begins to hit the airwaves. More specifically, and where I'm going to spend a little bit more time with you right now, is our on-the-ground activation effort. And what makes this presentation about this effort so special is that a number of leaders from Be Strong Families have helped us develop the tools and are helping us develop the tools for this on-the-ground activation effort. So those are the 3 main campaign components. If we go to the next slide, you'll see some of those on-the-ground activation efforts, and then I'll zero in on the 3rd one, which is the Parent Village curriculum. So one way that we'll get the word out and activate parents and allies is through an action guide that will be at the back of the book. It'll also live on our website, and it's all the ways that people can get involved to push this message, to fight for change, to create the parent nation that we want. There's also an exciting book discussion guide. So for those of you that are involved in book circles or book clubs, there's a great guide that will be made available and downloadable. It'll all be on our website once our website is up. And we hope to see book clubs across the country engaging around the book Parent Nation. There's a much more intense set of tools and resources that we've been developing. Again, the Parent Village curriculum that I'll talk about in a moment. And this is really where we will activate parents on the ground. And then finally, we'll have social media parent groups that can get involved. All right, let me dig into the parent villages. So if we go forward. So we have developed ways in which we can bring parents together at the local level through this idea of what we call parent villages. We've developed a 4-session curriculum, 90 minutes each, and this is what we have been beta testing and where Be Strong Families has been incredibly valuable and helpful in giving us feedback. The sessions are intended to be very interactive and engaging. We also have developed them in a way that they're flexible and modular. And what that means is there are 4 sessions. Maybe you really like only 2 of the sessions because you may already be doing something similar in your work with the other sessions. Well, you can take session 2, session 4, and embed it into your curriculum if you already have one. Or you could do a supplemental engagement of parents and do all 4. So in these ways, we wanted it to be very flexible and allow the user, the person using the material, to decide how best to use them. We've also developed a toolkit for the curriculum so that anybody who wishes to host a parent village has everything that he or she needs. It's a scripted curriculum. It's got all the materials. It's available in English and Spanish. And as Be Strong Family knows, we've also developed it to be delivered virtually because that's how we are coming together these days. So you can access it either for in-person or for virtual. It will be completely free for any organization, and you can add your own logo to it so that folks recognize where this is coming from through a trusted friend, a trusted organization. So we'll be with you in promoting it if you wanted to add your logo. So that's very high level. Let me now just take you very quickly through the 4 sessions so you know what's in this curriculum. What is it about? So let's go to session 1. Before we get to session 1, let me tell you what we hope to accomplish with the parent villages. And it's very similar to what you heard Dana talk about. So first and foremost, we take parents through an experience through these sessions where they will begin to raise and elevate their expectations of society. And I won't repeat it, but it's all the reasons that Dana just shared about why we absolutely need to be ourselves expecting more from society rather than believing that we have to go at it alone. We also know that we can come together more powerfully when we create a collective identity, because all parents love their children and all parents need support. So we have so much more in common than not that we need to bring all of that together to form this collective identity in a way that helps us win this fight. And then finally, we hope that the curriculum by the end of the experience, the end of that journey, will inspire members to build a parent nation. All right, now let's go to the sessions. So in session 1, parents really will begin to form themselves as a group. So there's great discussion in the beginning, and the discussion is really around a set of principles that we have developed that are based on a set of beliefs that all parents have inner wisdom. You won't see them all here. That all parents deserve choice, that we need to embrace equity. There are 6 of these primary founding principles. The parents in the group will have an opportunity to reflect on these principles, to share their own experience behind them. Behind each of these cards that each of the parents will have, there's a prompt that gives them more to engage in a very dynamic conversation. There's also in session 1 an opportunity to learn about the rest of the sessions and to begin to think about what they want in their own ideal society that would be a parent nation. And we come back to that in the last session. So we begin to form community in session 1. In session 2, next slide. In session 2, this is where we begin a conversation around collective identity and around elevating expectations. In this session, parents will begin to understand the challenges they and their fellow village members face, the gaps in the systems, which we don't need to say to parents what the gaps are. They know more than anybody else, but they begin to use this tool, which we call the Big Shift tool, to post on one side or the other of the balance where currently their needs get met. So they identify 3 or 4 high priority needs, and they tell us where, they put their little sticky on one side or the other, who is meeting that need in their current reality. And then they do this again, and this time it's in their ideal reality, in their ideal parent nation. Where would those needs land? And if you go to the next slide, you'll see what we're getting from many of the focus groups that we've been doing. So parents are shouldering, as we know, the responsibility heavily, and not as much on the institutions in their lived reality. And when we ask parents for their ideal society, they begin to see that shift. What is so powerful in this session is the conversation. And it's the conversation that leads not, I want somebody else to do all of this for me. It's because parents recognize they need time with their children. It's those 3 things that Dana talked about. They need the opportunity to be there, shape their babies' brains, to take care of them, and not be saddled with worry and stress and figuring out who can take care of children while they get a job or they go to work. All of that is really the part of this discussion, and helping parents begin to see that it doesn't have to be this way, that we can create a very different society. All right, let's go to session 3, and then we'll quickly go to 4 and I'll wrap up. In session 3, parents begin to identify and explore their own strengths, their own gifts, and their own talents by going through this activity, which we call the Changemaker activity. And they also have an opportunity to go and do some speed dating during this time, and learn from each other the kinds of roles that they can play. And I know we're going to hear from some of the panel their experience with this particular activity, but parents begin to see that in big ways or small ways, even if we, many parents have so much on their shoulder. Their bandwidth is very narrow, but there are little things that they can do and they want to do. And they begin to understand that when they go through this activity and begin to see that the little things add up to big things and when we want to create change. And then in session 4, you'll see, I hope you're picking up that this is all very activity-based, very fun, very engaging, in a way that really allows parents to go deep, but in a fun and an interactive way. So session 4 is the last one. And it's in this session that we play the Parent Nation Bingo. And we use the bingo to help lift up historical efforts, bright spots of change makers, key topics that really are serious and consequential about the well-being of children, moments in time when we thought we were going to get pretty far in a nation that supported families and then scaled back. This begins to help parents see that there's a lot in our history. There are a lot of organizations working for change, and that if we just come together, all of that could add up to much more than what we have today. And then this bingo game leads to parents beginning to think about, what do they want to do in their community? Who do they want to connect with to begin fighting for change? We connect them with organizations across the country or in their community that they may or may not know about to begin to fight for change. And it's also at the end of this session that parents share their ideal parent nation with each other. And it's that we're going to capture and elevate that voice as we collect from parents going through parent villages across the country. We'll begin to amplify what parents across the country are saying about their ideal parent nation and why this is worth this fight. So that's the end of the 4 sessions. I'm much more interested in hearing the conversation, especially about the experience that Be Strong Families parents had in going through this. We are continuing to tweak and improve it based on the feedback. Thank you for going to that last slide. This is just a screenshot of the parents that participated in the beta test session with us this past December. And what I love about this is that you could see the faces of parents that are engaging, that are enjoying, and that are deeply learning how they can be change makers on behalf of a parent nation. And I think maybe there's one more slide, and these are just more parents that have been testing. This was a group in Baltimore at the Parents as Teachers Conference. And really, as I wrap up, to these 2 slides with these photos, I hope will convey to you that everything that we're doing is based on parent input, parent insight, and parent wisdom. So I'll come back at the end and talk about a call to action, but this is the work we're excited about, and we hope that we can share it with all of you and have you host parent villages across the country. I'll turn it back to you, Sarita.
Okay, thanks, Yolie. This is exciting, and we had such a fantastic time testing the parent village. I did. I'm sure the parents did too. We had a lot of great feedback from this. So I just want to give them an opportunity to sort of share. So welcome to Coria and Tammy to the discussion. Having just heard all this great information from Dana and why she wrote Parent Nation and your experience with Parent Village, I'm eager to hear your thoughts and reflections. So we'll start with like the first discussion question. I'm gonna change our questions up a little bit, okay? So you guys went through this 5 sessions or 4 sessions of the 90 minutes. What was a pivotal moment for you as you experienced the Parent Village curriculum?
For me, it was in session 3 when we had the Changemaker activity. That really kind of brought it together. It was fun, interactive. It was nice to go through the little quiz and find out where I fit in it all. Prior to that, I was feeling kind of small. Like, I'm not the person that's going to be speaking with the politicians or storming Washington, or, like, that's just not me. So I'm like, what can I possibly do? I'm just one mom. But then I was able to learn through that where my strengths are and what I'm actually doing already, and where I can go from there, how I can build upon that. So that was what kind of struck me and turned it
Yeah.
around.
Thanks,
Uh,
Tammy.
for me, there was a point when, so we would go through each step, and I was like a little bit towards the end, so probably just after the change maker activity. It's like a lot of work went into this, and I was really like stunned by kind of putting all the pieces together and realizing um, the amount of work involved, how the creators, Dana, that's right, not doctor, no operations today, Dana and Yolie were, really thinking about how to make things happen. So I was just really amazed by the concentrated effort that was very apparent.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Takoria. I know in just facilitating this, it was good to see all the pieces come together, but it was also refreshing to hear how resourceful parents are, and also to see it being recognized. And I too enjoyed like the what is it, the seeing people's strengths. I was like, oh, this is really good. And I too really enjoyed the change makers. As we're building the parent nation or thinking about this, how do you guys see the parent village curriculum benefiting you as a parent?
So again, I feel like I can finally see where I am as part of this bigger picture, because I've always been like, well, I can't do much myself, but I can be out there spreading the word and helping and encouraging other people to help, educating people about this, and providing, I can bring food and diapers to families that need them. And then I can ask them to let their friends and family know where that resource was, how they got those free foods and diapers. So I feel like it's just a good resource all in all. I'm excited for the website to be up, because I really want to dig more into some of the other resources so that I can be letting people know what's out there and how they can get more involved. And I was very excited to hear when Yolie was speaking that we're able to use this, and that we can take individual modules out and use them as we wish, with our different groups. Could be sharing something differently with my friends and family than I will with the families that I work with. So you can do something smaller, you can do something bigger. It's very adaptable. I'm excited for it.
And I'll jump right in there. Tammy, you were right on the money when you talked about the resources. And that was also a thing that really was stunning in the amount of work, that there were so many resources and historical, not only present resources, but historical references and ways that you can understand a whole lot more about it. I heard a little bit in my bio about my life experience. And from that, I know that connection is necessary. And without it, it's no good. Isolation is really bad. There's, plenty of numbers out there saying it's just what, like smoking cigarettes. It's not healthy. It doesn't make for a strong parent community, and it doesn't make for a strong nation, as Dana really expanded that viewpoint of how, this is for all of us. And that was another bit of the resource there, that what I liked about Parent Nation is it spoke to the parent demographic, not any particular demographic. And I think that is how it can be so portable, and you can take this piece and that piece, and it really makes for a good framework. And I'm excited about it because it's kind of it's new, right? So getting to watch it develop, getting to watch it grow, and to draw in other folks, like Tammy and I, and more people who have had the work and study experience. So Tammy and I have had the lived experience, and other folks here have had the, day-to-day experience, the life experience, but also the study experience, and the observing what families need experience is very valuable. And Dana and Yolie both have a lot of that, and it shows in Parent Nation. So excited to watch it grow. I'm happy to have been part of the testing, and really looking forward to dig in those resources. Anything that puts connection and community at the forefront of our minds is definitely strong, right?
Mhm.
Excellent.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you both for sharing. And you're right, those resources were amazing. We looked at those, it's like, oh my gosh, like there's so many resources. And because we were spread all over the country, there was, a nice group of us all over the place. And we were like, oh, that's in my neighborhood. That's in my neighborhood. That's in my. So that was really cool. So we're almost at the end. We do want to make sure that we be able to take a couple of questions maybe based on time, but where do we go from here? Dana, Yolie, where do we go from here?
Well, we do have a next step and call to action of what we can start to do now. Given that April is still, a few months away, we want to make sure that we're building the momentum and that we start now in building this Parent Nation. So, Andrew, there's one last slide, and if you could put that up, I can go through that. So what can we do right now? There's 5 things. So one is be sure to claim your free book. And if you registered for this, we have your information. If you know of anyone else, we're running short on all the free books, but hopefully we can get as many out to parents in particular. We would love for you to share about Parent Nation with everybody that you know. And Dana mentioned this earlier, we need to get out of our echo chamber. When we talk to each other, we're all nodding our heads all the time because we believe this, we know this, but we got to reach many more people on this message. We hope you'll sign up for our forthcoming Parent Nation newsletter. So let us know if you're interested in that. If you think you will want to host a parent village, I would love you to begin thinking about that and planning now. We would love to see at least 50 to 100 parent villages in April when we launch. That will begin to fuel the movement. That will give us the inspiration that we need, that we know we can build this. I don't know, I'll use army for now. But this force, just like we didn't talk about this, but imagine if we were the AARP for children and families. AARP, as all of you know, is the powerful lobbying organization for seniors. Because of AARP, the largest group of people in poverty in the 1940s and before were the elderly. That changed because of this organization and the movement of seniors with AARP. We can begin to build that now. So if you think you might want to host a parent village to activate parents, let us know. We'll help you begin thinking about your plans for how to make that happen as we finish the curriculum, because again, we're still beta testing. And then finally, we would love you to follow us on Instagram. It's the first of our many social media accounts that we have out there now. There will be more, and there will be the website. But if you want to get engaged now with us, build a Parent Nation together, here are the things that we can begin to do right now. And we hope to stay in touch between now and April when we launch, and have you be part of that launch.
Thank you, Yolie. We do have one question before we move on. We do have a question, so I want to give one to honor someone taking the time to put a question in here. Thank you, Brian. He said, have you considered how this national initiative might work collaboratively with system of care? Within a system of care framework, usually focus on mental health and behavioral challenges of children and youth. Uh-oh, I lost it. There are child community collaboratives at the county level in which stakeholders, DPS, DSS, DJJ, mental health providers, etc., and encourage family voice and choice. I can see how this curriculum would be so helpful in a very organic way to develop parent-driven and non-clinical villages or gatherings of families to meet around health disparities, trauma, ACEs, wellness, and equity issues that are led by parents and for parents. So have you guys considered that? How it might work collaboratively with systems of care? Thank you, Brian.
So absolutely, and Yolie will jump in as well. But we obviously, you all are grassroots change makers. But I come from the systems of care as well, and so we are, exploring issues of working with the foster care system and the hearing loss world, and groups that support families with children with disabilities. So I think that's what I'm answering the question. But yeah, no, we really view this as empowering all families from all different, not just backgrounds, but different living situations and different, children, differently abled children. We want it to be a universal voice. So.
And another way that we're doing that is, we're talking to as many people, including system leaders. So leaders that are in public housing, leaders in child welfare, leaders in juvenile justice, because they know we're not doing this work right. They know we are failing our children, and we have to start at the beginning, and we have to start with families. So we want to encourage them to host parent villages and hear from parents themselves about their system, about what needs to change, and about how this nation needs to support parents and caregivers.
Thank you, ladies. And I see people saying, yes, sign me up for the newsletter. Please send me the information. They're dropping their emails and showing how they would love to incorporate this curriculum into their what they're already doing in their organization. So we are wrapping up. And Andrew, can you put the next slide up for me? We are putting a poll up, so please be sure to complete the poll. Join us tomorrow, join us tomorrow for our Spanish webinar, and then Friday for our Taste of Cafes. You do know the Taste of Cafes is like, we have a wonderful presenter for tomorrow, and Taste of Cafes is always amazing. If you've never been to a parent cafe or any of our cafes, you'll want to jump in and join us for one of those. And then be sure to follow us on YouTube. I just want to say thank you so much, Dana and Yolie and the entire panel, Tokoria and Tammy, for being here today. I thought this was awesome, or I think it was a really great webinar. And so I'm so glad that you guys, I'm honored to have moderated this for you guys. And I'm glad that we're getting the word out about Parent Nation. So thank you. Thank you so much. And I know you guys saw this helpful based on the chat. So I'm hoping that you guys will share the information, share the YouTube link, share about Parent Nation. And thank you guys for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys. Enjoy the rest.